Hey guys, welcome to the first video of Hawking's Odyssey. Stephen Hawking was born on January 8th of 1942 in Oxford, exactly 300 years after the death of Galileo Galilei. Some could say a lot of babies were born on that day, but how many of them had a real passion for astronomy? He was born in Oxford even though his parents were living in London due to World War II. The Germans had an agreement that they would not bomb Oxford or Cambridge. His sister Mary was born 18 months after him. Apparently he wasn't too keen on the arrival. Normally as siblings do fight, this pair had a certain tension between them. However, as they got into their adult life, this tension disappeared. They parted ways and his sister became a doctor, as his dad had expected. His other sister Philippa was born 5 years after him, so he was at an age where he could really understand what was going on, and this time he was really excited to welcome his new sister. She was a very intense and perceptive child, and Stephen greatly respected her thoughts and opinions. His brother Edward was adopted when Stephen was around 14. He was non-academic and non-intellectual, which is actually quite good for them. He was rather a difficult child, but one couldn't help really liking him. Sadly, he died in 2004 from a cause that was not properly determined. However, a likely reason could be the poisonous fumes from the glue that he had been using in his renovation for flats. Stephen Hawking was sent to Victorian House school. He was complaining a lot that the school wasn't teaching him anything. After that time and after the war, Highgate was an area where a lot of academic and scientifically bright people lived. All the parents sent their children to Victorian House School because this was a progressive school at the time. The educators of Victorian House weren't really keen on drilling information into children. Instead, you were taught to learn to read without actually realizing that you were being taught. It got around the age of 8 that Stephen actually learned how to read. His sister, on the other hand, learned to read by conventional methods and could read by the age of 4. His family lived in a small, narrow Victorian house that was bought quite cheaply, partly because everyone thought that London was going to be bombed. Fortunately, they survived a close encounter with a V2 rocket that landed a few houses next to theirs. However, his father was in that house, but luckily he was not hurt at all. Growing up, Stephen had a great passion for train sets and train models. Since toys weren't manufactured for the war, they would be in high demand and the supply would be low. So his father tried making him a train model, which didn't quite work. So he got a second-hand train and repaired it with a soldering iron, which he gave Stephen for Christmas. However, that didn't work very well either. But when his father went to America just after the war, he came back on the Queen Mary and brought Stephen a brand new electric train. As any child would be, Stephen was extremely excited. It was an electric functioning train. He used to spend hours watching the model railway clubs in Crouch End near Highgate. Finally, when his parents were away, he decided to get all the money he had out of the post office bank and bought himself a brand new train. However, frustratingly though, it didn't work either. But during that period, the attitude was that if you bought something, you were very lucky to have it, and returning something and getting it renewed would be very unlikely. In 1950, Stephen's father's workplace moved from Hampstead, near Highgate, to the National Institute for Medical Research in Mill Hill. Rather than travelling from Highgate, it seemed reasonable for his father to move the family out of London and travel into work. His parents then bought a house in St Albans City, 10 miles of Mill Hill. His parents weren't very well off when they bought it, so a lot of work had to be put into the house. However, in that area, his parents hardly made any friends. They were regarded rather eccentric. This perception was increased because his father did like to save a lot of money, even if his comfort had to come second. When they first went to St Albans, Stephen went to the high school for girls, which took up boys up to the age of 10. Stephen Hawking's father made yearly trips to Africa. However, his mother did not like being left alone, so she decided to visit her school friend, Beryl. At the age of 10, Stephen took the so-called 11+ exam. This was an intelligence test to separate children into the academic and non-academic institutes. This led to a bunch of working class and lower middle class children getting into university and a bunch of distinguished jobs. However, this system was abandoned in 1970 for the comprehensive education. When Stephen Hawking was 13, his father wanted him to go to Westminster School. As mentioned, there were a lot of divisions in caste systems, so his father felt that going to the school would give him a lot of social uptake. Because his parents weren't well off, Stephen would have to get a scholarship in order to get into Westminster School. However, he was not well during the exam time and therefore did not attend the exam and instead went to St Albans School. There he got an education that was as good, if not better, than the one at Westminster. I would like to share with you a very interesting line that he wrote in his book. But I think physics is a bit different from medicine. In physics, it doesn't matter what school you went to or to whom you are related. It matters what you do. So I find this quote really interesting, since I feel like society is really concentrated on getting good grades and getting a good job, whereas what we can actually do for the world and what we can actually put behind is what truly matters. So I'll leave you in today's video to think upon that quote and let me know in the comments of your thoughts. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.